Hey everyone, it is Irene Lyon here, and welcome to a YouTube Live that I'm doing in service of answering questions in and around my 12-week program, SmartBody SmartMind. I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is at the beginning of this, but how SmartBody SmartMind can help you and help inform your current scope of practice if you are a healer, a helper, a coach, a counselor, a teacher, an energy worker, a body worker, a fitness trainer, a Feldenkrais practitioner. This is what I used to be, or I still am, Feldenkrais practitioner and also a fitness trainer. I'm just going to make sure everything is going well here. Looks like we've got a few folks already in here. And let me know where you all are from. And we'll get started soon when we get a few more folks into the room here. Now, one thing I want to say, I'm going to have to refer to my phone for some questions that have been submitted, and we'll get into those. But if you have a question around this connection between being a coach, healer, helper, mind and body provider, meditation teacher, whatever it might be, and how the SmartBody SmartMind curriculum can help you, put them in the chat. I have my husband right now online, and he will be here to answer questions as they come up in the chat if I can't get to all of them. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to read something from, I think it was an Instagram comment that came in a little while ago. And this is someone who is a coach. So I'm going to read that to give us some time for folks to get in here. So this is from, and again, shared with permission, the neuro coach, and they are an alum to SmartBody SmartMind. So I'm just going to read this verbatim. So they say, the neuro coach says, I can back this up, meaning back up the suitability for SmartBody SmartMind as an entry point into someone becoming more trauma-informed and nervous system informed. I'm about to be on my 5th round, they said, of SmartBody SmartMind, and I'll tell everyone what that means in a second. Although I have done many other trainings, this one is different. It's so nuanced, and there are very few teachings that combine Feldenkrais with polyvagal and SE, in my opinion. Irene and her team are beyond experience. You get the feeling that Irene has experienced it in all of her work with students and clients. This is true. There's no question you could ask that she wouldn't know the answer to, which really is mind-blowing. The team are very thorough and responsive and safe. All caps, exclamation, exclamation. There is no ego, exclamation. To be fair, Irene makes a great resource herself. That is how safe it is. There are many people on Insta that generally do not have qualifications and experience for what they are advertising. This isn't a dig, it's the truth. It's not one polyvagal course and now you're an expert, or do a few vagus nerve exercises and everything is done. Once you do SmartBody SmartMind, you realize that autonomic nervous system work, it's like a dance between you, your body. It's a lifestyle, it's a choice, and you can't rush it. So I wanted to start off by reading that because this person was clearly already in the coaching space. And as she says, or as they say, this is one of the only programs that will connect the somatic experiencing world with the Feldenkrais world, with the early trauma world. This is through the work of Kathy Kane and Steve Terrell, namely somatic practice and resilience and regulation work. It is all together. And just to give you a quick background, again, there might be some people who have been here with me forever and some who are brand new, who are just stumbling across this video today. My background is in exercise science. I have a bachelor's in sports science, nutrition, and applied, we would call it applied kinesiology, which is different here in Canada than in, say, Australia or the UK. Kinesiology in other parts of the world is more about energy work. I still believe in that and work with that to some degree. But sports science was my first degree. And then after that, I did a master's in biomedical science and health science. I did an intervention trial for my master's degree, did research, have that master's degree. And then also from there went into the Feldenkrais method. So I was recovering from some of my own injuries through the world of ski racing. And even though I had done way too many years in sports science and rehab and fitness, everything I had learned in that world was not helping me heal myself. And that is why I got into the Feldenkrais work. Now, went into that work and then realized, I am missing another thing here. I'm going to close down one of my things here so I don't get notifications. I realized when I started doing my Feldenkrais work in practice, teaching groups, all these things, that wow, I am still missing a huge part. And the reason I want to tell you this story, everyone, is to show you the evolution that I went on, which we all go through when we're in the helping and healing professions. There is no stop point where you stop learning. At least I hope not. You continually add and add and add and pull from different methodologies. Even in the world of medicine, doctors are so varied. While they might go through a very similar base level training, and you would know this by maybe having interactions with different medical doctors over the years, some are very by the book, very straight laced, and others will totally say, go see an acupuncturist. Let's figure out your nutrition. Are you sleeping? How are your relationships? These kinds of things. So, in this world of somatic healing, it's no different, right? So, we've all gone through different training and paths, but my path was more through the sciences, got into the Feldenkrais work, and then it was there where I realized I am missing a massive chunk of information and learning, because a lot of the people I was working with, and this is very important for all of you here who are in the helping and healing space and even in the teaching space. I can't tell you how many teachers are saying to me, we need to bring this information into the school system. The kids are stressed, they have broken homes, they're traumatized, they can't focus, and us forcing them to sit still and do more academia or academic work isn't helping, right? So what I realized is I needed to bring in what we call the somatic nervous system healing work. And I went into the work of somatic experiencing. This is the work of Peter Levine. He is still alive. He is in his elder years, but that was the training that opened the door for me to realize, holy cow, I am missing this whole other world in how I work with my clients, my students in the Feldenkrais world, but even in the nutrition and health and healing space. What we finally see and know through research is that when we have unresolved trauma, when we have dysregulation in our nervous system, this isn't just impacting our brain and our spinal cord, it's impacting everything: our digestion, our cardiovascular capacity, our immune system, our hormone system, our ability to interact with the world around us, our ability to focus, our ability to heal, to repair, our ability to have the energy to even exercise or to make better choices around what we eat and what we do. So when you really start to see this, it seems preponderous that anybody in the health and healing and teaching space wouldn't have this information on board. And we just haven't known until recently that this is so important. So I wanted to start off with that, my history. Now, a big question that a lot of people will ask is, Irene, I want to do this work. Would it be better to do SmartBody SmartMind? And I got a question just a second ago via Instagram, so I'm going to tackle this question first. Would it be better? I'm already a therapist. I'm already in the world of healing. I want to work specifically with trauma. Let's have a little sip of water here, guys. Would it be better to do the somatic experiencing training or SmartBody SmartMind? It depends. So it really depends. I had a great experience in my SE world. I was also very trained in the health and healing sciences, in mind body work. I was connected to myself to a certain degree, although I didn't realize until I was in the SE training how functionally frozen I actually was. But, c'est la vie. It really depends on what you want. And this is what I'm going to say about the SE model that is good. It is a wonderful base layer to get in and learn the basics. The basics of stress response physiology, working with sensation, working with shock trauma, so car accident trauma, impact trauma. It's wonderful for learning to guide someone through the basics and navigate maybe a pretty big trauma response that needs to be released. What it doesn't get into until you maybe get to the highest levels, which I was blessed to get to with master classes with Peter Levine himself. And that does not happen in the first few years. What it doesn't get to is working with anger and healthy aggression. It doesn't get into working with early trauma, developmental trauma. It doesn't get into working with deeper layers of toxic shame. The other thing that the SE training, I feel, again, everyone is different and you got to choose your own path here. You don't have a common denominator subset typically going through that program or that training. And what that means is, well, yes, you've been selected because you're suitable to be in that training. Maybe you're a therapist, a yoga instructor, a gym instructor, a school teacher, a clergy person, a priest, whatever it might be. You're selected based on candidacy. Let's say this again. You're selected based on really your credentials and a few other things. But they don't know how regulated you are. They don't ask how much mind-body training, how much work have you already done on yourself. And what I found was a non-pro of that training is there were folks that were very varied in their regulation, and it wasn't always the safest container because people didn't realize how much trauma they were still carrying in their system. And so that was one portion that, as I look back now in retrospect, I think, wow, it would have been great if everyone going into the SC training had SmartBody SmartMind under their belts. Now, the reason I say that is because SBSM is not about teaching you to become a trauma practitioner. It is not. I have to be very clear. It is for you to learn how to do your own regulation work, how to do your own somatic work, but it also gives you a humongous, ginormous theoretical education that is pretty much everything that I learned, not just in the base level of somatic experiencing. This is really important, but also the levels of somatic practice. This is the work of Kathy Kane and Steve Terrell and their early trauma work. And also the Feldenkraisian model, which is like the gold standard, in my opinion, for mind-body retraining. And we're also getting into, how do you work with yourself? And the reason why that's so important, and the reason why it's so important to have that base level foundation in yourself is when you work with other people, what do you think is the biggest instrument that guides you? It's you. If you don't have good interoception, if you are not safe and secure in your being, and you can empathize and see the little tiny micro movements in your person or the group of people, you're not going to see that if you can't feel that and see it in yourself. I cannot stress that enough. And so what I've often heard people say, because many people who have started the somatic experiencing training after they've done SmartBody SmartMind. And I've even had some of our staff, our old moderators who helped me in my programs, who did SmartBody SmartMind alongside their somatic experiencing training. And they have said point blank more than once, I would be totally lost and confused if it wasn't for the SBSM work. And I just think it's because the SE training, again, is not a full-fledged, it's not a degree. It's only 36 days for the base level training over a course of 3 levels. 36 days is not very much when you really look at it in the grand scheme of things. And there's no required reading, there's no testing, there's no practicums where you are being evaluated, right? And so it's a wonderful educational experience to give you some really solid chops, that term, to do work. And it gave me so much, but I already had so much base level understanding of neuroplasticity through my Feldenkrais world, my exercise science world, my master's in biomedical health world, right? And so it really depends where you're at, what you're after, and what makes the most sense. I will say, if you don't have good, solid, at least some baseline regulation on board, it will be very, I'm making an assumption, but I'm generalizing here. It may be very triggering and very tough to really learn when you're in that training because you're navigating your stuff. And if you're navigating your stuff, there might be a few days where you have to not be there because you're exhausted due to the exercises that they're doing with you. And so, again, it has a time and a place. It was wonderful for me. And we're now many years out of that time point when I was in there. And I would say if one can take the time, the 3 to 4 months to move through the SmartBody SmartMind curriculum as a prerequisite, and then you come out and go, I actually think I have all I need. If you're already a therapist, and this was a question that someone had, if you're already a therapist, it's possible that the SmartBody SmartMind curriculum is all you need to heighten your current therapy practice. And I say that with full sincerity because I know folks who realize I don't think I need to go further. I already know a very large understanding of what this is all about. And again, like I said, you won't get the higher levels of working with anger, healthy aggression, shame, working with the viscera, working with the kidney, adrenals, working with the stress organs. This is not covered in the SE training. So that is kind of the first thing I wanted to say, because often it is the most confusing question for people is what should I do? And of course, I understand people want a nice certificate that says they're trained in this. But here's the thing, even if you have that training, even if you have that piece of paper, if your system internally is still in chaos or still in some form of functional freeze, it will be hard to implement that work in a good way. So that is the first answer to this question. I'm going to go over to the chat here and have a little sip of water so I can keep talking. And thank you, everybody, for your comments. Hello from everyone. Colorado, Spain, Finland, the UK, Washington, Jakarta, Minnesota, Germany, Hungary, San Bernardino, Belgium. Hello, hello. Great. So I see Seth is in here answering questions. So if you have a question in the chat, be sure to keep your eyes open because he may respond to you. So that is great. Okay. Now, the other question I have, and I'm going to pop up my Instagram here. My eyes aren't as the way they used to be. So this is actually a question from a woman by the name of Kim. Hey, Kim, if you're listening, she's not a medical student anymore. She's a medical doctor in Germany. And I actually did an interview with Kim, I think it was last year. And she's a 21-day nervous system tune-up member. And we have that on our website and on the YouTube channel. So we could pop that up if we can find it. My team can find that and put that in. But Kim's question is, how can I use the techniques from SBSM? So she has not gone through SmartBody SmartMind yet. So how can I use the techniques from SBSM with my own patients without further training in SE? So it's a similar question. I would love to teach about the nervous system, and I'm not sure if I will know enough after SBSM to not jeopardize my patients' healing because I'm not properly trained in SE. So I'm going to answer this question in two parts, Kim, because it's a very good question. First of all, I am thrilled that a medical doctor who is young and new wants to know this information. This is going to change everything for your patients going forward because you have this lens. So kudos to you for doing this work for yourself and for your patients. I have got many alum And I just did a panel talk. So if you didn't see the panel talk I did with my SBSM alumni yesterday, definitely watch that. We'll pop it in the chat, and then we'll be sure to get it into the show more section also. I would say, let's see, there's Donnie, Carrie, David, Selden. Those 4 people, I might be missing someone. Those 4 people were already in the coaching, healing, personal development space. And what they found is that they were able to naturally blend in what they were learning in Smart Body, Smart Mind with their clients. I often call people students. That's how I call them. Their students, their clients, their patients. To teach the nervous system knowledge, Kim, and anybody listening here, you will get that information through Smart Body, Smart Mind, through the biology of stress training videos, and also the training calls that I teach exclusively in Smart Body, Smart Mind. Those are not within the 21-day nervous system tune-up. Also, the Q&A calls that happen with my colleague and husband, Seth, are mind-blowing material and information and education to further your understanding of trauma, of the nervous system, of stress physiology, of all the different nooks and crannies of how the human system, we could say, copes, adapts, becomes more resilient. So as a general whole, Kim, there's nothing theoretically that you wouldn't get in Smart Body, or that you wouldn't get that is in the SE training that isn't in Smart Body, Smart Mind. Now, some of the language, some of the proprietary words, like CYBAM, which is a thing from Peter's world, and a few other things that are really his baby, if you will, the things that he's really coined. I don't use those out of respect, but things like coupling dynamics, pendulation, titration, the freeze response, all these terms are common terms used within the somatic and even the therapeutic psychotherapy healing worlds. So again, there's no proprietary rights on those words. So as a medical doctor, you can use these words. You can teach your clients, your patients, I should say, about the stress response. You can teach them about the freeze response. You can teach them about dissociation of the body. You can teach them about being screamed at when you were a kid. That's a trauma. Let's work with that. Let's see how that's stuck in your body. You can teach your patients how to feel their body sitting there with you in the examination room, how they notice their breath, all these sorts of things. So my sense and what I have seen is that usually when someone is worried that they're going to do something wrong, or they're worried about not knowing enough, chances are that won't happen. Typically, Kim and everyone here, it's the people who are reckless, who think they don't need help, they don't need extra training. They're the ones that tend to do the damage, right? And so I have students that I'm in the midst of training right now. So we've just started a professional research and development cohort. We're calling it the Sciintuitive Educator Program with Smart Body, Smart Mind alumni. We've done one cohort last fall. We're doing another cohort this spring where we're taking it up a notch. We're taking SBSM students who are, in good standing. They've gone through all the material. They want to bring this work to a higher level to their existing coaching practice, healing practice, health practice, or they want to become a helper and a healer. And so I'm in that beginning mode, you guys, because a lot of people will ask, Irene, do you teach people? We're on that path, everyone. It's just something that takes time. I'm not someone who's just going to throw up a shingle and say, let me train you. We want to have foundations in place. We want to have prerequisites in place. We want a solid curriculum in place. And what I've seen with the first cohort that went through, even just with 10 weeks of weekly training on top of their Smart Body, Smart Mind foundation, these humans are already so much more regulated and doing work with their existing clients in ways that is just knocking off their socks, right? Their client socks, to use that metaphor. So Again, it comes down to what is your impulse? What is your intention? It's going to take a few years for me to get a full-fledged training up and running. But here is what I will say. It can take a few years of going through Smart Body, Smart Mind to get your foundation and your own system in good regulatory health. And I just can't stress that enough. I cannot stress that enough, because when you have that solid foundation and you can be in your organ system and you can be in the environmental system, you can be with people and you can think and you can navigate the stressful world that we are in and stay regulated. When you do learn higher level training through me or someone else, it's just going to fly in so much easier. And I know of people who have gone through, let's say, the somatic experiencing world, and they're still not practicing because they just never got it. Right? So just going through the training doesn't mean you will come out being a master practitioner. It doesn't work that way. You need to practice, study, and keep adding tools. Okay. I'm going to see if there's another question that came in through this place here. And I think we're good. That is all the questions related. Here's one. How does SBSM help clients who can't feel anger? So how could SBSM help those clients not feeling anger, not letting themselves express anger? So if we back up a little bit, anger is one of our basic human emotions. More drinking. I need to drink a bit more here. Okay. Anger is one of those basic human mammalian emotions. And in many ways, it's got a little extra to it. It is responsible for keeping us safe. It is a boundary mechanism, right? It is I need to stay safe. I need to fight. I need to flee. I need to put up, the guard. No, don't do that. That's not okay. Anger is not something we can just tell someone, hey, I need you to get angry. I need you to express anger. Let's do some roars. Let's do some hits let's punch. Let's go do some boxing. Right now, that might get the blood going and it might get the movement going, but that is not going to connect to stored up, hidden, frozen down anger that has been embedded in your system for a lifetime because it wasn't safe to express anger when you were young. Hypothetically, that's one of the more common things we see. It wasn't cool when you were a toddler to hit, to scream, right? To get your energy out, your exuberance, your life force energy. I did a great video on the origins, like what is healthy aggression, a while ago. Be sure to look that up or we'll pop it into the chat here. It starts when we're infants. This scratching, pulling of mother's hair, showing our life force energy, that's the burgeoning of anger coming up and up and up. And if the parent doesn't know that, they will punish it. They will say, don't do that. You don't hit, you don't pull. And trust me when I say that 6-month-old, they're not trying to hurt mom or dad. They're just feeling their muscles and that surge of a capacity. And so when we squash that, we lower the capacity of that little human. Fast forward into life, they don't even know what anger is. They've never considered it. Or when they feel it, they suppress it because that's what they were taught when they were young. So to answer this question, how do we get our clients to express anger when they can't? You don't. You have to build their capacity to feel safe again. You have to build their capacity to feel the little sparks and the little butterflies. And maybe there's sadness on top of that anger. Maybe that has to come through first. Maybe grief has to come through first. Maybe there's deep, deep toxic shame. So the body posture for toxic shame, which is typically connected with a lot of people that have, say, chronic illness, fibromyalgia, you're living with this collapsed nervous system. Fight, flight, and freeze is just how your system works all the time. You're in this collapsed state. You're in this sort of freezy shutdown state, you're not going to get someone in that state in that moment to be angry and full of vitality and life force energy. And this is me, and I am so strong and powerful. It will contradict everything in their physiology. And so when your physiology is saying, no, no, I got to stay hidden, I got to stay collapsed, I got to stay invisible, you cannot ask that low capacity system to be angry. But what you can do is you can teach that low capacity collapse system, what might it like, what might it like, what might it like, what might it be like, getting my words mixed, what might it be like to just feel this collapse? What is that like? What would it be like to feel this collapse, but then orient to something in your environment that you really kind of like? What might it be like to go to one of your positive resources, something that helps soothe you, and you feel that a little bit? Where do you notice that? Right? The next time you have an impulse to sing a song or check out something different, like what would it be like to engage with that? So I'm not going to get into a whole lecture on what building capacity is, because I have many other videos that do that. But in essence, we need to slowly build a person's capacity, their somatic capacity, their tolerance for sensation, so that we can slowly come out of this cocoon. Right? The butterfly and the cocoon and the larva is such a great metaphor for this. It's like you're cocooned and safe, protected in this shell, and then slowly you break out open, and poof, you've got wings, and you're a moth or you're a butterfly, right? And then you spread your wings, but you have that metamorphosis can't just happen. You can't say to the cocoon, the worm in the cocoon, I need you to be a butterfly today. Right? It takes time. It has to unfold layer by layer, literally in that case. So this comes back to the rubric, the foundation, the DNA of SmartBody SmartMind, if you will, is about building capacity, building foundation, getting more information on board, getting more education on board, asking questions in our forums from our team, who are all trained in somatic experiencing. Everyone is trained in SE, many in Feldenkrais, and many are psychotherapists and counselors. So we have such a great body of individuals helping you in that forum. Now, we want to build this capacity, and then from that, the traumas start to heal, the emotions start to naturally come out, the sensations start to become more alive, the fight flight responses start to lessen, and we become more accurately connected to, oh, this is a real fight response right now. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to feel this sense, or wow, I'm going into shutdown, right? To go back to the question about do I do SE or SBSM first, if you don't know how to answer those questions like that, then I don't recommend the SE training, because you will be navigating your own dysregulation while navigating everybody else's dysregulation and new material, right? And take it from me, as someone who did go through that training and ended up assisting multiple times afterwards at the base level, I was like, wow, did we learn that? I don't remember this at all, because I was in functional freeze going through my SE training. I was still getting the information and learning, but there were layers of that training that completely went over my head because I was in shutdown, essentially. Okay. Let's see here. Someone asked here, I'm working with many stressed managers in the corporate world. Many of them have problems to feel their body sensations. Do we learn how to learn them and feel them again? So yes, in Smart Body, Smart Mind, you are learning how to feel your body again, your sensations, your energy. You're getting to understand your stress response, your physiology. It really is like the degree in human physiology and human health and well-being. I just can't say that enough. Now, I'm thinking about to this person who asked this question, a few of our students who were just in my higher level training, and they were getting this information without being in a higher level training with me. They had had SmartBody SmartMind under their belt. Some of them are not working in the healing and helping field. I'm thinking about one in particular who runs a very successful IT company, so tech company, and he has said that he thought he maybe wanted to do healing work with people. Excuse me. But now he's realizing, I'm making good money. And this is the other thing, it's not easy to just become trained in this and make a living. It takes time because you basically have to be a business person as well, because this stuff is usually not recognized in the medical system. You're not going to have doctors. Maybe Kim, one of our medical doctors here, you're not going to have doctors referring people to you, right? You're not going to have physiotherapists referring people to you. You're not going to have counselors referring people to you. We're still at this point where not many people know in those helping and healing worlds that they should send someone to a nervous system expert, to a somatic coach. So to go back to this example with one of our students, Marcus is his name. He has seen that now that he has a better understanding of his own physiology and physiology in general, trauma, stress responses, fight, flight, freeze, anger, shame, early trauma, he is better able to be with his employees. He's better able to listen to them. And I'm going to assume talk to them and give them space and let them take things slower. And just the way that you interact with your employees, with your clients, is going to be super duper different. I'm also thinking about one of our, again, longstanding alum, Donnie Hill. He was on the panel yesterday. He does leadership in business development work with entrepreneurs. And he calls it being, I forget his exact tagline, but being a nourished entrepreneur, being nourished and well kept and rested. I think it's the well rested entrepreneur. And it's typical in our world of business to just go, 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 and then crash. We crash and burn, right? We go to the point of exhaustion, and then we need to take like a sabbatical to recover. But how can we teach people, and this is what he does in the development of their business, to take things slowly, to titrate, to feel, to make decisions not based on what cognitively might seem accurate, but what your gut is telling you. And the other thing is, if your system is in dysregulation, you're not going to be able to read your gut sense, that sixth sense, very well, because it's confused, right? And so this is another kind of fun ripple effect or byproduct to this nervous system regulation work. Not only will it help your body, healing, clarity of thought, relationships, parenting, all of it, you will have better capacity to make career choices, work choices that just are exactly what you need to do. The alignment that starts to happen is out of this world, because when your biology is healthier, the universe just opens up to you in a different way. Okay. Oh, hey, Kim. So this was my prize medical student that I love is doing this. She said, thanks for answering my question. Will there be another round of SmartBody SmartMind in fall of this year? I think I won't be able to actively take part in the program this spring due to a busy schedule. So I can't guarantee that we're going to do another one in fall. In 2022, we ran it twice, but that hadn't happened in about 3 to 4 years. So for those who are busy, if you can commit and invest financially now, you have that material. So even if you have one pocket of 30 minutes a week, that's something. And then when live session ends, you just keep doing that one pocket of 30 minutes once a week. The program site is packed with information. It's packed with frequently asked questions. So some people might be worried, if I'm not in live session, I can't ask questions. There's so many resources where we've already answered your questions, because we've seen over the 12 times that we've run this session, we've done this 12 times so far, we kind of know what a lot of the commonly asked questions are. And all of the Q&As that will take place this spring will be recorded and live, not live, but they will be recorded. The replay is on the site and you can listen to those when you're driving, when you're walking, when you're at the gym. So there's ways to get this information in. I would say our lives are busy. Most people here, you're not 20 years old where you can just commit to learning the way you would in university. I mean, wouldn't that be cool? But most of us aren't like that anymore. We have jobs, we have families. And so we've created the curriculum so that you can go at your own pace. You can dip in, you can dip out, and everything stays alive on the site. So just know that. Okay. The other thing I'm going to say, this comes into what Kim was asking about not wanting to miss anything when working with her patients, or the coaches here who they feel, I think I need higher level training. Now, you might want it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And this work is written in us. So a lot of what you're learning in SmartBody SmartMind, and I kind of covered this a bit yesterday in the panel talk, we're relearning what maybe didn't occur to us when we were young in those first 5 years of life. So I kind of make a joke sometimes about that. It's not funny, but it's to prove a point. You wouldn't, I think everybody here knows, you wouldn't just attune to your newborn infant for 30 minutes or an hour once a week, right? You wouldn't hold them at a limited time. We know that we need this constant connection, nurturing of our young. This is what builds self-regulation is through that co-regulation. Excuse me. I'm coming off of a little bit of a cough cold, guys. Okay. So what's happening in SmartBody SmartMind is you are reinvigorating, you're regenerating a lot of what our DNA just wanted. It wanted to feel connection. It wanted to connect with the world. It wanted to express sensation and expression, or feel sensation and express expression, emotions. We're built to set boundaries. We're built to protect ourselves when something is threatening us. We're meant to run when we can't fight, and we're meant to freeze when we can't do either of those. And then we're meant to socially engage after the stress response is gone. What I just described is just in our DNA, but because of society, held up in traumas, cultural programming, religion, the media, the school system, it's kind of been bleached out of us. It's been washed out of us, but it's still in us. And so when we get this regulation back, when we get this capacity back, what you will find is that it becomes almost second nature when you help someone. You go through these spaces of, I can feel my body. Can this person feel their body? I'm going to ask them, can you feel the chair under you? And they might say, what do you mean? And then okay, this is where we start, right? Or you see your client just randomly looking out the window, checking out something. They're orienting naturally. So then you would ask them, hey, what do you see out there? As opposed to, I need you to orient. And this, I will say, was probably one of the biggest mistakes that I witnessed in, say, the somatic experiencing world, is things were taught a little too technique-wise. We're going to orient, and so now I'm going to direct my pretend client to orient, as opposed to, noticing the natural expression that comes out and then guiding from there, right? The imposition of telling someone to do something is less good than attuning to them and noticing what they might need or want, and then facilitating that and supporting that. Just like with a child, just like with a baby, you have a crying baby. You can't say to that crying baby, I need you to take a deep breath, hold it, and then exhale really slow. It will not work. you hold them, you connect with them, or you give them food or shelter or whatever it is that their physiology needs. And then the after effect of that connection and attunement is the deep breath. It is the settling. I hope I'm making sense, guys. I hope you're seeing this slight nuance of how, when you have this on board yourself, I cannot stress this enough, your ability to be with other people and help them attune to themselves and the world, help them learn, it just skyrockets. Because you wouldn't want that to be forced upon you either, right? And so there's a reason why I think so many of the students who go through SmartBody SmartMind, who are already in the health and healing space, are crazy advocates for this work. They promote for us. They are always telling people, getting people to do SmartBody SmartMind, or even the 21-day nervous system tune-up. They want them to do the curriculum so that the healing work, the nutrition work, the coaching work, the energy work that they do is easier, right? They don't have to go through the weeds of these people's trauma responses because they're doing it on their own. They're learning regulation. Someone just said, this is what I've been trying to explain to therapists, but no one understands. Why? So this is a great question, Enos. I think that's maybe your name. Again, it comes back to what I said earlier, where I said, people will go to psychology school or counseling school or social work school, but there's nothing that prepares them to be in their bodies in that school. If there is, I've never come across it. Never, ever did I go into my fitness training degrees and exercise science, and they pulled me aside and said to me, can you sense your emotions? Can you track your sensations? Are you good at setting up boundaries? Are you good at self-care practice? God, no. That does, you go to school, you get it, you get the skills, you get the techniques, you get the understanding, and then you're out. So what often occurs, and I have a lot of friends who are therapists, by the way, and the therapists that I know that have gone into this world of somatic healing, they say this too. They'll say therapists are sometimes the worst people to work with trauma because none of them have healed their own trauma. And so when you try to explain this to a therapist who hasn't done their own work, it's just going to go right over their head. They might theoretically go, oh, that's nice. But if they haven't actually experienced the fact that they are in shutdown or functional freeze, or that in their system there is high levels of fight, flight, say anxiety, there's stored trauma memories, it's not going to make sense to them. And so I think this is where this work is very different than, say, someone who's an orthopedic surgeon. I've had many orthopedic surgeries. This is a big part of my history. My orthopedic surgeon doesn't need to sense his feelings when he's fixing my ACL ligament in my knee. He just needs to know the structure of the knee, the signs of problems to look for. He needs to have his anesthesiologist, the nurse, the things, and he just goes in and mechanically fixes that knee, right? He doesn't have to be connected to his trauma responses. If anything, I don't want him to be in that moment. But in this other world, this is why I think a lot of therapists don't know. If you haven't done this work yourself, you won't see it. Okay, this is a great question. Vicky asks, this might be the question of the year. Is it worth doing SBSM if we don't have any conscious symptoms we feel and we need to heal? 100%. This is the time to do it. If I had had this curriculum before going into my Feldenkrais training, for example, it would have been a game changer, because I would have been A, younger, and B, going into, say, that Feldenkrais training where you're spending so much time on the floor, you're moving. It really is a very beautiful training for getting your body so organized and supple and strong. a lot of, I'm going to speculate, but a lot of the frozen traumas in my body that I had no clue, not just injury trauma, but early trauma and developmental trauma that I had no clue I had, they would have been more able to come up and out. Because in those moments when I was in that training, for example, I did not know how to sense my kidneys, my adrenals, my gut, my brain stem, these areas of the body that trap stored up old stress. No clue. So if you are here and you don't have any crazy symptoms and you're not unwell, but you're like, yeah, I'm part of human history where, yep, I had to go through a normal school system and I didn't get a chance to express myself in the way that I probably should have. 100%. Um, if we could get everyone to do this level of learning in their 20s, the world would be a much, much, much different place. So 100%. All right. Yeah, another person, same person. Why does no one in the health system understand this? I feel seen here. It's starting to change. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. There are more people who are aware that trauma is a thing and it impacts the nervous system, and this might be the cause of all of the chronic illness, many of the cancers, many of the heart attacks, many of the neurodegenerative conditions, many of the relationship troubles. The research is really pointing in that direction. So we're getting there. It really has just come on the scene in the last 10 years that this is important. Is this going to get into the medical school textbooks? I'm not so sure. I think that we want medicine to stay as it is so that it can do emergency medicine and the things that really just require that orthopedic surgeon or that internal surgeon to fix things when there's been an accident or something like that, or plastic surgery after burns and things like that. But my sense is if we can be on this other side, healing and helping at this level, we're not going to need all the specialists in the way that people need now, because they're just going to be taking care of their bodies differently. All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just wrap up a little bit here. I see lots of questions are being answered in the chat. I'm going to wrap up with an overall overview of a few of the SBSM pieces. So again, registration is open now until the 21st of February. I do not know if we're going to run another open registration for all of 2023. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. If you have the ability, the resource, the capacity to enter and become a member now, I encourage you to do that. Don't worry if you can't get through all the material. If anything, watch the alumni panel from yesterday, because all of our alum say point blank, I did not get through all of the course in the first go. I took my own time. I paced myself. And they are really advocating for that, as I do. But sometimes it's good to hear it from someone else for it to really land. So if you're wanting to see how this really plays out in real life, go watch that alumni panel. So registration closes on the 21st. We start with our orientation call on the 23rd. And then we start on the next Sunday, so Sunday from tomorrow. And we go into mid-May. And then once we finish with the core curriculum, there are 10 modules, 10 labs, I call them, like laboratory, within the 12 weeks. And each week there's 4 main lessons that you do, again, at your own pace. And then when we end on May 21st, I believe, might be the 15th, 21st, I can't remember, we still open and keep the site open for 4 weeks, and my team is there to answer your questions. And then another note, I already mentioned this, but I really want to stress that you are not just getting my knowledge and my live teaching and the curriculum that I've created, which is robust. You're getting all of these moderation people. Again, they're trained all in SE, many in Feldenkrais, many in other somatic methodologies, and many of them are counselors and psychotherapists. We have a team of about 10 people. There's a reason why these folks stay with us, and it's because they, excuse me, believe in this work so much that even with their busy schedules, they want to help and support this curriculum. All right, a little more water here. Okay. The other thing I want to really highlight and stress, this is not a curriculum that is just for the 12 weeks. So it can seem a little daunting when you see the cost. It is about $2,000 US, or a payment plan over 12 months. All that information is on the site, to think, oh my God, that's a lot for just 12 weeks. And if it were just for 12 weeks, I would say you're right, that is a lot. But this will continue with you forever. And again, those alum, they have been with me, some for 7 years. Can't get rid of them, right? And it's a good thing. It doesn't mean that those people haven't improved. I'm thinking about David Magnus, who is one of my long-standing alum. He's not in the lessons every day the way he would have been back then. He's more fluent. He has the language of the nervous system on the tip of his tongue, in his body. It's there, right? But take it from someone, myself, who is still working on her early traumas. These things don't just end and then you're done. There's a continual evolution of your healing. There's a continual evolution of your learning. The human brain and the human system has infinite capacity to learn and improve. It also means we have infinite capacity to heal and become more robust and regulated and resilient, right? We have so much capacity. So think of this as we're in live session for 12 weeks, plus some extra time to connect with the moderators. And then you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep practicing, and you keep improving. And then you work on things. You might have things come up that are difficult and tough, but then you navigate them completely differently. The other thing that is important to understand about this curriculum, everything is recorded. So while we have live calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays, a lot of our students, they work, they can't attend. They're on the other side of the world, so they're dead asleep when I'm teaching. And there have been people who have gone through this who have never been on a live call, and they have regulated and improved and done so many amazing things by just taking in the recordings. The other thing I'll say, because some of you might not know my history, I was in private practice for a very long time, really working with people since 1997. Which is I think, more than 20 years, I believe. And up until about 2013, I was working with people every day, one-on-one, with these methodologies. What was very clear to me is it was not enough for someone to just see me once a week for an hour. And it was not financially feasible for many people to do that for years on end, because that is how long it often takes when you're just doing a little bit of work in one moment. So what happened is I thought to myself, we need to put this information, this education, and these self-study practices into an online format. And that is a very short way of describing how SmartBody SmartMind came to be. Again, we've been doing this for many years, about 7 years. So you are getting a very robust curriculum that has been improved and tweaked and become a very, very comprehensive online curriculum. The other thing that's really important about the online space, I think, is you're doing it in the comfort of your own home. There's something about being able to just press play, listen to a recording, lay down in the comfort of your own world without having to travel across the city to see someone and then have to travel back. You can do this at any time, so it suits your schedule. For those that are in this world of, say, you're learning to work with your early trauma and developmental trauma, this is so important for some people, right? Because they can just listen to 5 minutes or 10 minutes and not overwhelm the system. Whereas when you go to, say, a therapist or a massage or an acupuncture session, you pay for your hour and you're going to stay, even though your system is like, I've had enough. So there's something about the titration and that ability to press pause and stop and walk away that is brilliant with this online learning space. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to say about coaches, healers, and helpers? I think the key thing is one, you need to be regulated in your system. You need a good self care practice that isn't just when you have holidays. It needs to be occurring every single day. You need to keep regenerating and repairing and renewing every single day. There's a reason why so many healthcare providers burn out and end up with complex PTSD. I'm thinking about nurses and first responders. They are notorious for getting very sick and very unwell because they're constantly giving. And I can guarantee you that most of these people, because I know some of these people, have no connection to their body. They have no connection to the stress that they're holding in. And when you can work within this lens and really work with your nervous system when you're working with others, you will have longevity in your career. And so that is one thing that is very important for those of you here who are already in the helping and healing profession. For those of you that know you want to become someone in the helping and healing profession, and maybe you want to work at this nervous system level, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with the somatic experiencing training or say its equivalents, which would be, say, sensory motor psychotherapy, Pat Ogden's work, but bear in mind, she studied under Peter, right? So all of this really floods back to Peter and his instant of discovering this work and putting it out there. There's nothing wrong with these trainings. But if you don't have, again, your own regulation, your own capacity to be in your body and navigate the world, and even that training, it won't be as potent and it won't land as much. And the money you spend in those trainings, I don't want to say you're flushing it down the toilet, but it won't be as potent. It won't be as good of an investment as it could be. So there is something to be said about getting this on board for you first and then going to that next level. And many people, for example, we just did a cohort, as I mentioned, with 24 of our SmartBody SmartMind alumni to teach them some basics to facilitate and grow a professional training program. There were some who went into that training who thought with me that they wanted to become a nervous system helper, healer, coach. And then when they got in it, they were like, I don't think I want to do this. It's enough for me to know this for myself. And I'd rather do another job in the world that isn't involving this, but do it from the lens of nervous system physiology. So that's the other thing, is it can get exciting, like, oh, I want to do this. I want to be the healer, the helper, and work with this. And some people, yes, that is their path. And other people might not be, right? And so there is something strong and powerful about going through the SBSM curriculum that might give you that knowledge because you're more connected to yourself at the end of going through the work and working with it over time and committing to it. Yes, there's a payment plan, 100%. Final thing I'll say, if you haven't gone to the SmartBody SmartMind website, go there, take your time, read, click, learn, go to the syllabus page, see what is taught, go to the frequently asked questions page. There are many questions on that page that will answer many questions that people have. So that is what I recommend you all do as your homework this weekend. Go to the SmartBody SmartMind page, read through it. I also recommend watching that alumni panel video from yesterday. So good. And it just shows what occurs when we really commit to this work. That's all I want to say. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for Seth, for answering in here. And maybe we will see you, some of you, hopefully many of you, when we start up SmartBody SmartMind next week. Our orientation call is on Thursday. All of our live calls are on Zoom, just FYI. They're not in a public domain like this. Yeah. If you have questions, You can ask us. One of the best ways to ask a question is to just email us, support@irenelyon.com, and we'll get back to you. Tomorrow, FYI, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific on Zoom, and the links for this are on my site. So if you go to my site, irenelyon.com, there's a live event tab. There's SBSM events. You'll find a Zoom link. Tomorrow morning, we're doing a special Q&A call that focuses on early and developmental trauma. Early and developmental trauma. This is an important topic for, I think, all of us living in the Western world. It's going to be hosted by myself, but also my husband, Seth, and our senior moderator, Janice Kastelbaum. Janice has been a good friend and a colleague for many years. Her and I assisted at Somatic Experiencing trainings back in the day, back in like 2013, 2012. So she's going to be there giving her input and expertise and also answering questions. She is one of the moderators within SmartBody SmartMind. So we wanted to bring her in and introduce her to all of you. So if you are available to listen to that tomorrow at 11 a.m., please do. And also we'll record it. We'll pop it up on YouTube if you can't make it live. If you do have an early trauma question, a developmental question, send us an email, support@irenelyon.com, and we'll get that question for tomorrow. Or just show up live and you can ask it then. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you later. Bye for now.